Joining you once again from the LAFC Performance Center, where the guys are getting ready for their game in Chicago Fire. This is LAFC Black and Gold. And welcome in. I'm Max Brunos, and we like to hit off with you as much information as possible so we can continue with our roundtable discussion. Vince LaRosa, I'm sure you've seen his articles. LAFC writer in the digital space, really good, keeps you up to speed. I take some of his material from time to time. I just let the cat out of the bag, but there you go. And of course, Francisco Rivera, the X-Man, who has been a regular appearance here on this show, and a lot to talk about. LAFC coming off a game against the San Jose Earthquakes, which they won. And Vince, we saw something we haven't really seen a lot this season, and that is scoring goals off corner kicks. Scoring goals directly from corner kicks. I got told by the LAFC staff that we have scored a goal off a corner kick, although our definitions... Because we talked about it before, we weren't sure. Our definitions, I was corrected, which they like to do. But yeah, scoring a goal directly off a corner kick, I mean, not just that, but actually getting chances directly off a corner kick. I mean, it's big to score the goal, obviously, to get that reward, but even just getting chances is a big deal in these past, like, 10 games, I would say. Yeah. Look, this was a game, Francisco, they're supposed to win against the Earthquakes, the worst team in the league. But you get thrown a whole lot of challenges. And you've got to give credit to LAFC, and this important home game, they delivered.
Well, the heat. I mean, it was very tough to play under that heat. You saw it when Carlos Vela came out of the game with 10 minutes left. It was far from his best game. He missed 8 of 33 passes he attempted. And he went back to that creative midfielder position behind Dio. He took a big toll on him. But what you guys were saying about set pieces, you needed to find a way, I wouldn't say ugly, but it was a tough, rough, physical game in midfield. You needed to find a way to win, and something that we saw in terms of adjustments, you might recall that Laurent Simon was the guy positioned in the far post with Walker Zimmerman setting up the table for him. Now with Simon gone, you have Jordan Harbin, the near post, serving as a decoy, pushing forward, pulling the marking, and all of a sudden that opened the door for Walker Zimmerman. 2 goals for him, his first brace in MLS.
It's an important part that they get this. What did you think about the adjustments in San Jose? I know you gave a keen eye for that, but the different players that played there that may see more of that kind of action moving forward in this stretch run.
We had Jackson Ewell, who's a good player, good passer. I mean, San Jose, when we played them the first time around, a crazy game, but we said that they're not really a great passing team, and that seems to be what Steve Ralston wants to change them into. So that's why you had maybe Carlos moving in a different position, because they really tried to pack the midfield to get some passes going. So you put Carlos a little further up, so maybe we can get him some space. I would say one thing about Carlos that's kind of important to recognize is him playing with Dio. They've really only played about 5 times together. So when we say that Carlos might have been off, I do agree with that, but also maybe some of that chemistry, we don't quite have that yet between those two.
All right, maybe they can work on that in their next game. It's going to be at Chicago Fire. This is a tricky spot. Chicago Fire are not going to make the postseason, but they got some big-name players that when you look at their roster, you're going to say, this is going to be complicated.
It's tough to travel 2,000 miles, get on a plane, get there, but LAFC is doing everything right, getting there 2 days before, holding a practice session on Friday, and you can rest assured they're going to be ready to go. Now, Chicago had to go back home after playing a midweek game against the New York at the Bronx. So it's going to be tough for them too. I think we're going to have a good fitness advantage. Now, I visualize them, even though they resemble a lot of LAFC, a good team pushing the ball forward, counter-attacking, but very vulnerable when they go back in transition. I do picture them for this game to stay back, be cautious, and just try to pick their spaces, pick their spots. Schweinsteiger, he's played all kinds of different positions so far this season, but for this game specifically, I do visualize him playing in the middle, being like a wild card, trying to mark Vela and Rossi and destroy every piece of attack that the creative players of LAFC try to attempt.
I do agree with your point. He's definitely going to sit back there. He's going to try to pull the strings from deep. You got a guy like Nikolic, you got Katai. Those are their real weapons. I mean, what killed Chicago was their early July and August. They were a decent team, and then just, I think, an 8-game losing streak, right? But they still have weapons. You've got Nikolic 4-4, Katai, I think 2 in his last 3. So yeah, if Schweinsteiger can find space back deep and play long, they can probably cause some problems.
All right, you got a lot to look forward to in this game, and Chicago's in the East. The 2 best teams in Major League Soccer in the East. Maybe LAFC will run into one of them down the road in December, but the New York Red Bulls and New York Red Bulls and Atlanta United. Who do you think, Vince, when you look at these teams, has the better chance to finish on top of that supporters shield?
Well, I think it's Atlanta's to lose at this point, right? They got a game against Red Bull, 4-point gap, BWP's out. But what I'm looking at is, and I could ask you guys this, if we were putting together our top 11.
I like it when you ask us.
Yeah, if we were putting together our top 11, you would probably put more Atlanta guys into that top 11. But for me, I think that the Red Bulls are the better team.
Well, I have a lot of respect for Atlanta United, going back to that 5-1 disaster, which I thought was very deceiving, by the way, because if you recall...
LAFC earlier in the season.
Right. Two of those goals came in injury time. I had no idea why in a game that was completely out of reach, the referee added 7 minutes. Very little common sense, but that's another story. But, you know, they have a lot of individual talent, as you mentioned. They have Barco, they have Joseph Martinez, but to me, their biggest strength comes from the bench. Tata Martino, you know, he's coached Messi, so enough said.
All right, guys, back to the West. LAFC with their win. They are in third place. Seattle was the hot team. Now the Galaxy gaining some steam. So something that stood out on how the West will eventually be won. What happened this weekend, Vince, that you think will stand out in the long run?
I mean, if the door was cracked a little bit for the Galaxy, I guess they widened it just that little bit. I wouldn't say it's Jack Nicholson coming in from The Shining saying they're here, but they really definitely put Seattle on notice, and I'm surprised. I really thought Seattle kind of had it all together, even though they had lost one coming in, to just really drop one that way and not be competitive in that game.
When Vince and I were doing some math, and I think the magic number is 6.
Yeah.
So I think we just need Vancouver and Galaxy to drop some points. We don't need to have that pressure in Chicago, but at the same time, I think it's good to collect points. I think Kansas City and Dallas have been very consistent, and I think LAFC has missed a lot of good opportunities to climb back to the top. They always miss. They're nearly there, but they miss that chance. I think this Saturday could be a great chance to finally go back to the top.
All right, guys, thank you very much. That was very cool. Much more LAFC Black and Gold after this. LAFC Black and Gold. After the San Jose game, I go down to the field and they ask me, who do you want to interview post-game? And I go, hello. That's pretty simple, right? Had to be Walker Zimmerman. He scored 2 goals. He was part of a back line that did not concede a goal. So I talked to him about it. Here it is. Here we are with LAFC defender Walker Zimmerman. What's this week been like for you? You get 2 goals, you get a clean sheet. It's good living.
It's good living indeed, especially watching Tiger Woods pull out that victory on Sunday. It was that capped off the weekend. Yeah, it was phenomenal. Everything went well minus 1 fantasy football game.
Right, there was a posting at LAFC's Twitter page, and it was right after your first goal, a highlight, really cool, and it looks like you're saying put the ball in the box. Is that what you said? Did you point it to Carlos Vela?
I did, and baby. I said put the ball in the box, baby.
Put the ball in the box,
yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
The 4 Bs, I think.
Yeah.
That had to feel good. That felt like a load coming off of you to be able to put that away when corner kick goals have been hard to come by this season.
For sure, and it's something that I look at myself as an individual and see that as one of my strengths and something that I can bring to the team. And so having not scored a goal yet this season from a set piece as a team, it was very important that we kind of get that monkey off our backs, and we did so in a big way.
Sometimes you just get the cork off and all of a sudden that
exactly.
champagne starts flowing.
Exactly.
Okay. So you've had an interesting run as a defender, Lawrence Simon, and I heard you after the game talking about partnerships and developing that, guys. And really, you've had 2 different center backs last time out. Seems like it's going to go through you as a defensive leader. How much of that leadership role you see yourself taking on these final games?
I'm loving it. We have a lot of talent here, a lot of depth, and so the ability for us to rotate guys and still get results is massive. And so I thought Dejan stepped in, played great. Danilo's done a good job since being here, and then just developing partnerships, whether it's with Steve on my right or Jordan on my left. It's been a lot of fun getting to work with all these guys, and certainly I think we have a lot of leadership on that back line, myself included. But you got guys like Harvey and Beta who've been around. Dejan has a lot of international experience as well. So we got a lot of leaders, and I think we are starting to gel and really find our stride and really taking a lot of pride in getting clean sheets and not letting up a lot of goals.
This is a rudimentary question, but I'm just curious to hear it, but how much of that dialogue important for you guys? You talk about partnerships and you hear it, you guys. Mm-hmm. It's very open with screaming, yelling, get in here. How much of that is a part of the game?
100%. It's huge because you know, there are plays where if you're tired and you're not talking, someone's just going to slip in right behind you, and that's
let that guy go. Hey, I'm not
exactly,
there.
exactly. That's ultimately how goals are formed, is from lack of organization. Because sure, there are those one-offs that are special, and you tip your hat to the other team, but for the most part, every goal that's scored, you feel like you could do something better, and a lot of that starts with the communication and organization.
So we discovered Beta Time. It was first on our show, and now he's off to bigger and better things.
He is.
He's interviewing celebrities and stuff. You came up with a theme song for him. So I really enjoy the time with you. Maybe this is something you should look into as well.
For sure, for sure.
I don't know if you can get your own show like Beta. He's kind of hogged
Beta,
that one.
Beta is definitely making it to the big time right now. He's getting guys. I think there's rumors that a certain funny owner might appear on a future Beta Time episode. We'll see if he can pull that off.
Gotcha. Look out for that. Walker, best of luck in Chicago. Thanks for catching us here
Thanks.
on LAFC Black and Gold. Always great to catch up with Walker Zimmerman, and there is no doubt about it. This is a guy who is going to be shouldering a lot more of the burden as this season winds down, or up as it goes. All right, coming up next, my weekly talk with head coach Bob Bradley. We are going to answer the age-old debate, deep dish or thin crust. I'll explain that in a moment. That's next. Head coach Bob Bradley, and Bob, now you hit the road for Chicago, and I want to talk to you about that, a very special stop for you. But taking the result from San Jose, the clean sheet, the goals from the corner kicks, how does that get you ready for this next set in the big picture that is this season?
It was a good win against San Jose. I think defensively we were very solid. I don't think it was our sharpest day in the attack. It's important then to create chances in different ways, and that certainly includes the opportunities that came from corner kicks. We've worked to improve in that area, and it's always nice to see it all come together. And great for Walker with 2 goals. You know, there's enough there that was positive, that reinforces the work. And as always, there's enough there that we still look at where we can improve.
Unique opponent here. Chicago not going to make the postseason, but they have a team that was very good a season ago. Bastian Schweinsteiger, people forget that he's still there and he's playing different positions. They'll also be playing in the midweek. So the challenges, good or bad, they provide for your preparations. How do you move forward with that?
Chicago still has good players. As you mentioned, it's not a season that has gone exactly the way they wanted, but our preparation to understand what they try to do on the field. You mentioned Schweinsteiger. When he plays in the back, he's still a guy who can direct things forward. He's a very good passer. They still get good work in the midfield. Any team with Dax McCarty, you know that in there there'll be some good battles. A guy like Nikolic up front is still dangerous in the way he moves in the box. So our focus is to understand what they try to do.
Let's go back. This is where you won the double for 1998 with the Chicago Fire. It was a team I think people will always remember. Peter Novak, Louis Kubik, a lot of guys that Ante Razov is on your staff now. When you look at that year, what comes to mind that leaves you most fulfilled about that very special season?
2 things. First, like here in Los Angeles, from the get-go, we had an amazing connection with the city, and that was so important. And you really felt that people enjoyed coming to games and that we were in something together with all of our supporters. So I loved that part. And then there are so many guys that were part of the Fire in those days that I still see. And all of us still shared great experiences. What went on in training every day, the competitiveness of the group, the success, and anytime any of us see each other, between stories and memories, it's a great starting point.
Any time for you to maybe go and see some of your old stomping grounds, creature comforts that you enjoyed when you were in Chicago?
Look, I loved Chicago. I think it's an amazing city. And when I go back there, I'll see some friends. I don't know the schedule yet, but there's always a couple of places that love getting back to and eating some great food. But I think on all these trips, the focus is just on making sure that when we step on the field, we're ready to go. So far this season, I've not left the hotel too often.
I figured as much, but maybe get a little deep dish pizza.
Wilson, deep dish pizza.
Are you thin
no.
Wait,
deep dish pizza.
No.
So what are you talking
I'm
about?
a thin crust. I like Neapolitan style. But now that we're
Okay.
opened up the topic, what is your preferred pizza?
Look, East Coast.
When I was in Connecticut, I was at New Haven. That's
New
my
Haven
best.
has great pizza. New York has great pizza. All right, New Jersey has great pizza. Look, pizza. If you've been lucky enough to live in New Jersey and close to New York and Connecticut, the fact that Michael then played in Italy and you have a chance. Verona had an incredible place.
That's the place to go for the pizza in Italy?
In Verona, it was awesome.
Well, see, I'm aligned with you on this because my favorite, white clam, garlic, Neapolitan style, fresh out of the oven. Burn the roof of your mouth, and I'm good.
Okay.
All right, Bob, look forward to the game on Saturday against the Fire. Thanks for your time, as always.
All right.
Don't want to speak on Bob's behalf, but this is a big one for him. He spent a lot of great years in Chicago, and last time this season he had an emotional turn somewhere where he played his son in Toronto. LAFC ended up victorious, so hopefully there's a similar outcome here this time. You can see the game on Saturday. It's on Univision at 12:30 if you want to be part of the watch party scene, and I highly recommend it. I've been to a couple myself. It's at Brennan's on Lincoln Road in Marina del Rey. Check it out. That's all the time for LAFC Black and Gold. Best luck to the guys. We'll see you next week.